So far, we looked at how to use the building blocks of Dialogflow to build your agent, and we also tested it out using the web demo. In the remaining modules, we're going to look at how you can operationalize your agent. In other words, what you need to do to take your chatbot into production. And so we will be touching on the following themes. For the pizza example, we built our agent step by step, starting with creating intents, followed by entities, and then contexts, all done within the Dialogflow UI. Sometimes you may already have existing sources that you can extract entities from, for instance, a call center playbook or a FAQ document. So we'll look at ways to leverage this data when building our agent. Sometimes all you need is a conversation interface to surface answers from the existing backend systems and capabilities. And so we'll look at deploying your backend code as a webhook on App Engine. Next, we will be looking at how to customize your agent's UI so that you can have your own branding. This is where we deploy a custom front-end on App Engine. We also want to secure our webhooks so it only makes authenticated calls to the backend services. To that end, we will use a different example and create a brand new HR chatbot that can answer human resources related questions. In the architecture, you can see how various Google Cloud products come together to productionize your conversational agent. For example, App Engine will host the front-end UI and the webhook code, and Cloud Data Store serves as the backend, where the knowledge base is stored and provides answers to user queries by responding to the webhook calls. So let's go through this architecture step by step, starting with building the knowledge base in Cloud Data Store. And this is one big difference with the pizza ordering example, where the backend was meant to store pizza orders, so you're mainly writing into the database. While in the HR example, the backend is a knowledge base where a query will look up for definitions and send it back to the user, so you're mainly reading from the database. So how do we build this knowledge base in the first place? Well, we have the Employee Handbook, which is an HR manual document with topic keywords and definitions. So all we need to do is leverage that to build our knowledge base. This kind of exercise is typically a one-time activity. In the hands-on labs, which I will demonstrate, you will use Cloud Data Lab notebooks to quickly run Python scripts to extract topics from the sample HR manual, then push them into a data store entity using the Cloud Data Store API. And now is a good time to talk a little about Cloud Data Store. Data Store is Google Cloud's highly scalable NoSQL database for web and mobile applications. It pairs very well with App Engine and serves as a great backend for App Engine applications, scaling seamlessly and automatically with your traffic and data. In the hands-on lab, after you store the keywords and definitions into Data Store, we use that as the data source that populates your Dialogflow agent's entities. Let's take a deeper look at Data Store's data model. Since Data Store is a non-relational database, it doesn't fit the relational database constructs of objects and relationships. Instead, you can think of paths and entities, similar to a file system. Entities in Data Store have a particular kind. In the case of this lab, the kind is topic, the keywords that the HR manual contains. Queries in Data Store are eventually consistent, meaning that there can be a delay from when data is added or modified and when it is returned in a query. To enable strong consistency in Data Store more similarly to a relational database, you can organize your data with keys. This will create an entity group of that key in which queries are strongly consistent. Here is a code snippet from one of the Cloud Data Lab notebooks which shows how the code can extract the keywords from the HR manual and push them to Data Store in your GCP project. In this snippet, the code iterates over each line in the HR manual and populates the word entity in Data Store with each keyword entity that it finds in the document. Next, we use Google's Natural Language API to form synonyms of these topics and add them to Data Store. Finally, we call the Dialogflow API to then populate your Dialogflow agent's entity list with these topics from the Data Store entity. The demo that follows will walk you through the steps covered so far.